So what if the world you think you know isn't quite real? Or maybe just a shadow of something else?
That's a deep thought to start with.
Yeah,
It really makes you think about perception versus reality.
exactly. And today we're exploring a story where characters face exactly that, a huge deception, but then they find something, well, much more authentic underneath it all.
Right, we're jumping into C.S. Lewis's The Last Battle.
Mm-hmm.
And, it reminds me a bit of the Mindful Moments YouTube channel.
Oh, yeah. How so?
Well, they use AI analysis, right, to get you thinking critically about books, digging deeper into themes. And that's kind of our aim, too, to really unpack the layers here in Lewis's story.
Okay, I like that connection. So where does Lewis start throwing these illusions at us in The Last Battle?
It kicks off pretty quickly, and it's quite unsettling. At Cauldron Pool, you've got this ape, Shift.
Ah, Shift. Not exactly a trustworthy character.
Not at all. He's manipulating Puzzle, this poor, simple donkey, into wearing a lion skin to impersonate Aslan, of all beings.
Wow. Just straight up fraud.
And Shift's language is so telling. He says to Puzzle, "Why don't you let me do your thinking for you? Just chill in control."
Yeah, that really shows how easily someone can be manipulated if they doubt themselves. Puzzle's response. What was it?
It's quite sad, really. He says something like, "It wasn't my fault. I'm not clever. I never said I was." He just accepts being led because he feels inadequate.
Man, that's tough. And obviously, word gets out about this fake Aslan.
Oh, yeah. News reaches King Tyrion and Jewel the Unicorn. This Aslan is ordering the Narnians to cut down talking trees, sell dryads to the Calormenes. Horrible stuff.
Stuff Aslan would never do. How do Tyrion and Jewel react?
They're completely distressed, confused. Tyrion actually voices this fear, asking, "Aslan, could it be true? Could he be felling the holy trees and murdering the dryad?" You can feel his world shaking.
It challenges everything he believes.
Exactly. And Jewel has that amazing line, doesn't he? He's not a tame lion.
Right. Which usually means Aslan is powerful, unpredictable, good, but wild. But here it takes on a darker, more confusing layer, maybe.
Precisely. It highlights the confusion. Could Aslan's wildness somehow encompass this awfulness, or something else going on?
So they investigate. They must see this imposter eventually.
They do. They sneak up to Stable Hill and see the charade for themselves. Shift is there, decked out in ridiculous clothes.
Like trying to look important.
Yeah, trying way too hard. And he's claiming to be Aslan's spokesman, even saying things like, Aslan means no more than Tash, equating Aslan with the Calormene god.
No, that's blasphemy in Narnia. How did the other Narnians react?
Lewis describes them as just worried, bewildered. You can imagine the fear and confusion spreading through the crowd.
This is tearing Narnia apart at its core. Does Tyrion just stand by?
No. Eventually, he can't take it anymore. He defies Shift and tries to expose the lie, specifically to a group of dwarfs who are there. He rips the lion skin off Puzzle.
Ah, the big reveal. Does it work? Do the dwarves see the truth?
Well, they see Puzzle, but the reaction isn't what Tyrion hoped for. The dwarves have become completely cynical.
Oh, no. So they don't rally to the real king or the idea of the real Aslan?
Not at all. They basically say, "We don't want any more kings. No more than we want any Aslans. We're going to look after ourselves from now on."
Wow. So the deception didn't just fool them, it broke their trust in everything.
Exactly. They saw one lie, and now they assume everything is a lie. Even seeing Puzzle's silly, gentle, donkeyish face, as Lewis puts it, doesn't convince them Tyrion is any better. They're just done.
That's incredibly bleak. It shows how damaging lies can be long-term.
It really does. But the layers of deception go deeper. Tyrion overhears a conversation later.
Between who?
Between Ginger the cat and the Calormen captain, Rishta Tarkan. And they're the ones pulling the strings behind Shift.
So Shift was a pawn too?
Yep. Ginger and Rishta are just using the fake Aslan idea for their own cynical purposes. Ginger even asks Rishta something like, "You mean there's no such person as either?" Talking about Aslan and Tash.
And Rishta confirms it.
Rishta replies, "All who are enlightened know that." Basically saying belief itself is for fools, useful only to control others.
That's the ultimate cynicism, isn't it? Believing in nothing, just power.
But then things take a turn they didn't expect. Their manipulation, their invocation of these names, it has consequences.
How so?
Tash, the actual Calormene god, this terrifying entity, is summoned into Narnia.
Whoa. So Rishta, who just said Tosh wasn't real.
Exactly. He suddenly finds himself face to face with this horrifying being he supposedly didn't believe in. And Tash asks him, "Thou hast called me into Narnia. Here I am. What hast thou to say?"
You can just imagine Rishta's terror. Poetic justice, almost.
It is. And right after Tash appears, Aslan arrives. The real Aslan.
Finally, what happens then?
There's no ambiguity. Aslan's power is immense, immediate. He confronts Tash and commands him, "Begone, monster, and take your lawful prey to your own place."
Lawful prey, meaning Rishta.
It seems so. Tash grabs Rishta and vanishes. Aslan immediately establishes the true order, separating the genuine from the false, the good from the evil invoked.
Okay, so the immediate deception is dealt with, but Narnia is still in ruins, isn't it?
It is. The old Narnia is ending. But this is where the story shifts from the breaking of illusions to the revelation of a deeper reality. It happens through a stable door.
The same stable where the fake Aslan was shown.
The very same. But when the faithful followers of Aslan pass through it, they don't find a small, dark stable. They find something vast.
Bigger on the inside.
Much bigger. Queen Lucy says it. This garden is like the stable. It is far bigger inside than it was outside.
Okay, this is where it gets really interesting. What's going on?
Lord Diggory, who, was there at Narnia's creation and the magician's nephew, he explains it. He says they've entered the real Narnia.
The real Narnia. So the Narnia they knew
was just a shadow, a copy, like Plato's cave almost. The Narnia they loved was real in its own way, but it pointed towards this deeper, eternal Narnia they've now entered.
Wow. That's a profound concept. How do the characters take this?
With immense joy and recognition, Jewel the unicorn cries out, "I've come home at last. This is my real country. I belong here." It's a homecoming to ultimate reality.
Thinking about this discovery, this real Narnia, it really ties back to what we were saying earlier about our discussions here and channels like Mindful Moments.
How so?
Well, it's about encouraging that look beyond the surface, isn't it? Engaging with stories or maybe even life in a way that seeks out that more profound understanding, the real country behind the everyday appearances.
That's a great point. Lewis is definitely pushing the reader through the character's journey to consider what's truly real and lasting, beyond the immediate, often deceptive surface.
And this idea of true reality, it's reinforced by another character's story too, right? Emeth.
Ah, yes, Emeth. He's a fascinating figure, a Calamine soldier, very devout, very noble. But he served Tash his whole life.
So technically on the wrong side in this conflict?
According to the service divisions, yes. But he finds himself in Aslan's country too. He meets Aslan, expecting condemnation.
And what happens?
Aslan welcomes him. He tells him, "Child, all the service thou hast done to Tash, I account as service done to me."
Really?
Aslan explains that sincere devotion, acts of goodness and truth, even if done under the wrong name, ultimately reach him, because he is the source of all good. Conversely, evil done in Aslan's name isn't accepted. He says, "For all find what they truly seek." Emeth sought goodness and truth, so he found Aslan.
That's incredibly moving. It suggests that the intention and the quality of your actions matter more than the labels you use.
Exactly. It transcends the simple divisions and points to a universal truth about service and sincerity. True devotion finds its true object.
So bringing it all together, the last battle really takes you on a journey, from facing these ugly deceptions, lies, and manipulations.
Yeah, the ape, the false Aslan, the cynicism of the dwarfs, the machinations of Ginger and Rishta.
To the necessity of really thinking critically, questioning what you're told, like Tyrion did.
And ultimately discovering that there's a deeper, more solid, more authentic reality beyond all those shadows and illusions.
The characters literally move from a dying world of copies into the vibrant, eternal original.
It's a powerful arc. From disillusionment to true belonging. It shows that even when things seem darkest, truth and genuine goodness endure.
It definitely leaves you thinking, maybe considering where in our own lives we might be dealing with illusions, or where looking a bit deeper might uncover something more real, more meaningful.
That's the challenge, isn't it? To constantly be willing to question appearances, to seek the real country behind the everyday facade. The story really encourages that kind of vigilance and searching for truth.
Absolutely. Well, if this discussion sparked your interest, we hope you'll subscribe to the show for more explorations like this one.
Yeah, and share it with anyone else you think might appreciate this kind of analysis.
And if you want to experience the full story yourself, definitely consider picking up The Last Battle. We'll put a link in the show notes for you.
It's a book that stays with you, that's for sure.
Definitely. And above all, as Lewis seems to encourage, keep questioning, keep exploring, and keep thinking critically about the world around you.